Hello, and welcome back to Beyond Doubt, Unleashing Confidence. I'm your host, Nefe Oguntoye, and you've tuned into episode 23. So buckle up because we've got a lovely jam-packed session on building confidence in self-care. Now, if you caught our shorter talk on the subject, you might remember it was quite a roller coaster of insights and real-life examples, but guess what? Today, we're taking our time to really unpack this topic. So grab a hot drink or an iced one if that's more your style, settle in on your coziest chair, and let's dive deeper into how self-care can be the magic ingredient in boosting your confidence. Part 1. Why self-care and confidence go hand in hand. Let's start by painting a picture. Imagine you're a gardener. And trust me, you don't need a green thumb to follow this analogy. Okay. You have a patch of soil, a few seeds, a watering can, and a bag of fertilizer. Your ultimate goal is to grow strong, vibrant flowers that bloom steadily year round. Now, self-care is the water and sunshine. Confidence is the gorgeous blossom that emerges when you've given the garden everything it needs. Here's the kicker. No water, no blooms. You can't expect to neglect your well-being physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually and still radiate confidence every day. By making time for self-care, be it journaling, bubble baths, or even a cheeky dance party in your living room, you're telling yourself, I matter. That belief, repeated enough over time, plants itself into your mind and grows into unshakable self-confidence. And that's exactly what my latest blog post, Confidence and Self-Care, dives into. If you haven't checked it out yet, no worries. I'll remind you at the end. So you can head on over sneffywellness.com/confidence in self-care to get the full story and some more practical tools. Part 2. Mid-February check-ins, why they matter. Now, let's talk about that mid-February slump. Valentine's Day is over, and if you haven't noticed how the second month of the year feels like a reality check on those grand New Year, New Me ideas, January is often a whirlwind of fresh planners, vision boards, morning workout selfies. Then by mid-February, real life kicks in. Your schedule is busier than a London train station at rush hour, and you're left thinking, I'll get back on track next Monday or next month or maybe never. But here's a trick. Self-care is a practice that keeps you afloat when motivation fizzles. It's the raft you cling to in a storm, ensuring you don't get swept away by stress, fatigue, and that dreaded self-doubt. Mid-February is a perfect time for a mini personal audit. Ask yourself, what have I accomplished or improved since January? What keeps getting pushed aside? Do I still care about the goals I set a few weeks ago, or do they need tweaking? I like to think of this checkpoint as my personal reset button, giving me room to pivot if something I started in January isn't serving me anymore. Sometimes I even reward myself for the progress I've made because guess what? Even baby steps deserve a gold star. Let's throw in a story here. My friend Harriet had an ambitious goal of doing daily yoga at 6 a.m. every morning. A few weeks in, she realized that 6 a.m. is basically the middle of the night for her. She pivoted to 7 p.m. yoga sessions instead. Once she made that shift, she started enjoying yoga so much more, and her confidence soared because she wasn't stumbling around in the dark, half asleep, trying to do the warrior pose. Part 3. Boundaries. Your best friend or your worst enemy. You can't have a proper self-care conversation without talking about boundaries. Boundaries are like the invisible fence around your garden. They keep out the nosy neighbours, or in this case, overly demanding tasks and people. that can trample all over your well-being. Why boundaries build confidence? Consider the analogy of your smartphone battery. We all start the day at around 100%. Then the responsibilities roll in: school runs, work calls, errands, a friend who needs to vent about her ex for 2 hours, etc. Each task drains your battery bit by bit. Without boundaries, you'll be blinking red by midday, scrambling for metaphorical charger. When you politely say no to tasks that overextend you, or schedule in quiet time that's sacred and unbreakable, you're respecting yourself. That simple act of self-respect directly feeds your confidence. Olivia's story. Olivia was a single mum juggling 2 lively kids, a demanding job, and an extended family who seemed to think she was a 24/7 help desk. Every weekend, she took on extras, like covering shifts for colleagues, hosting family dinners, and helping her siblings with errands like babysitting her kids. Exhaustion became her default setting. One day, she hit her breaking point when her children said, "Mum, do you even like spending time with us?" That innocent question rocked her world. She realized she was so busy pleasing everyone else that she was missing out on precious moments with her own kids. So she did something radical. She started saying no. Not to everything, but to the commitments that didn't align with her deeper priorities. She set boundaries around her weekends, carving out at least one day for family time and personal rest. At first, it was uncomfortable. She felt guilty, like she was letting others down. But guess what? Her boss and her family found ways to manage. They didn't love it initially, but they respected it. And for Olivia, the result was more energy, more patience, and a renewed sense of worth. And also more time with her kids, which she really treasured. So that's the beautiful effect boundaries can have on you, your life, and your confidence. Part 4. Kindness as a confidence builder. We typically think of self-care as something we do solely for ourselves, like bubble baths, reading our favorite book, or taking a peaceful walk. But daily acts of kindness towards others can also be a powerful form of self-care. And here's why. When you show kindness, it's a reminder that you have something positive to offer the world. That realization can be a huge boost to your self-esteem. Tiny gestures, major impact. Compliments. Handing out genuine compliments is like sprinkling fairy dust wherever you go. Maybe you tell a colleague you admire their organizational skills, or text a friend about how radiant they looked last week. Random acts of service. Hold the lift for someone who's rushing in, offer to pick up groceries for a neighbor who's ill. These small gestures multiply the positivity in your day and fortify your sense of purpose. The baker who shared bread. I love a good parable, so here's one for you. A small town baker was known for giving away a free loaf of bread each morning to someone in need. Some customers teased her, asking why she wasted her time. But each loaf shared was a reminder to the baker that she had the ability to help someone else. Over time, her bakery thrived, not just financially, but as a heartfelt community hub. She gained a quiet confidence from knowing her work mattered. The moral? Kindness returned to her in unexpected ways, and her own sense of self-value flourished. That's exactly how small acts can have a ripple effect on your mindset. Now, you might be saying, you've just said in the previous section that I should have boundaries, and now you're saying I should have random acts of kindness, and the two go hand in hand. You need to set boundaries for things that don't align with you, with your priorities, with your values for your life. But while you're doing that, you can also show kindness to others. If you see someone and they look good that day, and you think that will give them like a compliment, give them a compliment. You know, it's not one thing only. Like, life needs to have a balance of things. Let me know in the comments if that just made sense. But anyway, part 5, the power of micro self-care. Now let's shift gears and talk about micro self-care. Those pocket-sized moments that can be tucked into even the busiest schedules. Because let's be honest, not everyone has time for weekend retreats or multi-hour spa days. Wouldn't that be lovely though? I could do with one. Here are a few micro self-care ideas. Number 1, breath breaks. Every couple of hours, stop whatever you're doing, close your eyes, take 3 slow, deep breaths, and let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Boom, instant mini reset. 2, hydration checks. Fill a big water bottle and mark time goals on it. By midday, you should be at this line. By 3 p.m. at that line. Hydration is weirdly underrated as a self-care practice, but it does wonders for your energy levels and mental clarity. 3, gratitude journal. I always talk about gratitude journal, like you've got to be grateful for things. Anyway, even scribbling down 1 to 3 things you're grateful for each day, trains your mind to spot the good stuff. It's like reprogramming your internal lens to notice small wins. Vital for confidence building. Part 6, accountability and support systems. Raise your hand if you find it hard to stay motivated when you're flying solo. I'm raising my hand right now, just so you know. That's why accountability is so helpful. It's like having a gym buddy who texts, "See you at 7 a.m. for that spin class, right?" And you think, "Oh, I really don't want to, but I also don't want to bail on them." It's finding your accountability partner. Friends or family, a sister, a cousin, or a close friend who also wants to improve their self-care game can be your perfect partner. Online communities. There are countless Facebook groups, Reddit threads, and wellness forums dedicated to daily check-ins and motivational support. Formal coaching. Sometimes professional help is the game changer. If you're really serious, you might explore working with a life coach who specializes in confidence and self-care, aka work with me. Check out my services at my website, nefewellness.com. When you consistently show up to support each other, you start forming new habits, and each time you follow through, a little voice in your head goes, "Hey, I kept my promise." That's a major self-esteem booster. Part 7, additional stories, real life and fiction. So I promised more stories, so here's another true story for you. My cousin used to think self-care was a selfish luxury. She has 3 kids under 10, a busy job, and helps care for her elderly mum. She always puts herself last, to the point where she'd be running on fumes. One day, she fainted at work, simply from exhaustion and dehydration. That was her wake-up call. She began making small changes, scheduling 15 minutes of reading before bed, sipping water throughout the day, and saying no to a few weekend commitments. Over time, guess what happened? Her mood, her energy, and yes, her confidence improved. She realized she wasn't an afterthought in her own life. She mattered. And let's not forget how fiction can inspire us too. Consider Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. She's bold, sets her boundaries, even with Mr. Darcy, and takes time for herself, like walking in the countryside to clear her head. Sure, it's a different era, but the principle still applies. Standing firm in your values and nurturing your own mind and spirit can create a beautiful sense of self-assuredness. Part 8, a recommended read. You know, I love sharing resources, and if you're eager to go deeper into boundaries, and trust me, they're a cornerstone of self-care, have a look at Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab. It's a powerhouse of practical, relatable advice and exercises. You can find it on Amazon, and I promise it's worth the read. Think of it as a roadmap for anyone who's tired of feeling like a doormat. I've been there and I've got the t-shirt. I'll also put a link to it in the description for this episode. So part 9, wrapping up and where to go next. So, lovely listeners, we've covered a lot of ground: the mid-February slump, the importance of boundaries, daily acts of kindness, micro self-care, and how accountability can be a secret sauce in sustaining your progress. The main takeaway: self-care isn't an optional extra, it's the backbone of your confidence. If you're craving even more insights and actionable tips, you can head straight to my blog post that this episode is based on at nefewellness.com/confidence and self-care. I detailed a bunch of strategies for weaving self-care seamlessly into your day-to-day life. While you're there, check out my free resources at nefewellness.com/resources. You'll find affirmation bundles, worksheets, and other goodies that can supercharge your self-care journey. Summing up, remember, lovelies, confidence in self-care isn't just about pampering yourself, though that can be part of it. It's about affirming your own worth, showing up for yourself even in the midst of chaos, and setting boundaries that respect your time, energy, and emotional well-being. Over time, these little acts add up to a powerful transformation. You'll stand taller, speak more assertively, and feel an inner glow that even the best highlighter can't replicate. I love it. Oh, thank you so much for listening to episode 23 of Beyond Doubt, Unleashing Confidence. I'm your host, Nefe Oguntoye, and it's always a pleasure to share these insights with you. If you found any part of this episode helpful, do me a favor, share it with a friend who might need a boost, or tag me on social media to let me know what resonates most. Until next time, keep pouring into the cup of yours. Because when you're running on full, everyone around you benefits too. That's a wrap for today's deep dive into building confidence and self-care. Don't forget to check out the blog post at nefewellness.com/confidence and self-care. It's your one-stop shop for turning ideas into practical, everyday habits. Take care, stay confident, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye!